Hi, this is Elisa, and welcome to Core and More. So this is a yoga practice designed to have a little bit added emphasis on what we consider the core. So a lot of times we think of the core as just being our abs or having six-pack abs, but it's really about everything from shoulders to knees, front to back. So we're going to focus on that area. So abs, glutes, hips, lower back, hamstrings, all those areas, or at least, a decent amount in each of those areas. So for today's practice, we have the optional use of a block, so you might want to have a block nearby if you have one. If not, you could always use a pillow or a couch cushion or just a rolled up towel, or you can leave it out and just modify and do without. So whichever way is perfect. So I'm so glad that you were able to join me today. And for this practice, we're going to start on our back. So I invite you to either roll over to come onto your back, or you can even start right now with a little bit of challenge for your midsection for your core and roll back. Now, only if this feels okay to the lower back. So if this feels uncomfortable or you feel that you're straining in any way, then by all means, just roll to your side and roll on your back. But if you'd like to challenge yourself, if you're feeling a little strong today, you can curl back with a C curve and maybe even pause here, noticing that your abdominal have to turn on to hold you here, and then just continue rolling all the way onto your back, keeping the knees bent. And that's going to help protect the lower back as well. If you'd like, you could extend the legs, but keeping the knees bent is a nice release for the hip flexors and especially the psoas. And then either placing your arms next to your body or placing your hands on the belly as you close your eyes, or just allow your eyes to soften. Beginning to turn your attention inward. Maybe taking in a deep breath and letting out a big audible sigh if that feels good. We'll take a few moments here to arrive on our yoga mat, letting go anything that happened earlier in the day, letting go of any thoughts of anything that's yet to come, and just giving yourself the gift of being present in this moment. Knowing that there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to do, just being here, observing your body, observing your breath. Noticing what it feels like to be in your body right in this moment. And if there's any tension in the body to dissolve away. So you might consciously soften the eyes, letting them feel heavy in their sockets, relaxing all the muscles of the face and the jaw. Maybe even allowing your lips to part gently, or swallowing to relax the jaw and the throat. Allowing your shoulders to deepen into the yoga mat. And as you continue to notice your breath, you might come to what we call equal ratio breathing. So as you breathe in, counting to 4 or 5, and then as you exhale, counting to that same number. Letting the in and out breath be not only equal in count, but also in importance. And we're really going to use that out breath to release and let go. So letting go of anything that no longer serves you, letting go of expectations and judgments, letting go of limiting thoughts. And as you allow the breath to flow in and flow out, you might just naturally allow the out breath to get a little longer. So if we wanted to allow one of them to be just a tiny bit longer, letting that be the out breath. When we breathe out, that's a perfect opportunity to really empty out. And when you do that, that creates space for that in breath so that you can fully that next breath in. So as you allow the breath to move, perhaps setting an intention for your practice today, and maybe it's to create some strength, or maybe it's something else. But stating your intention in the present tense as if it already exists. You might say, I am strong. I am at home in my body. I'm comfortable in my body. I'm enough. So as you're ready, you can allow your eyes to slowly flutter open. And bring your knees to chest. Start to make some circles in one direction. And then in the opposite direction. Getting massage from the earth. And then bringing our feet onto the ground. I'm going to roll to my side and get up because I need to get my yoga block. So maybe you have one closer. So if so, grabbing your yoga block. And then we're going to take our block between our knees. So you can have it at whichever place feels good to you. So you either have it the skinny side, wider, or the widest of all, because your block has 3 different levels. I'm going to put mine so that it's at the second. I'm placing my feet then about hip-bone distance apart, taking my hands next to my heels. We're going to move through bridge pose. So as you inhale, starting to lift the tailbone away from the earth, and then pressing the heels into the earth, coming to bridge. And with that block, adding in a little bit of a squeeze. So you're getting a little bit of strength for the inner thighs as you lift here, and then exhaling to lower down. Moving with your breath. So inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower. So again, if you don't have the block, no problem. You can just imagine that you have the block between your legs. And that's just an added bonus for a little extra opportunity for strength for the legs. So add it in or leave it out. Moving at your own perfect pace, connecting breath to the movement, or connecting the movement to the breath. You might want to add your arms in overhead. So as you're extended here, your hips and your low back are on the floor, the arms can be lifted. And then as you lift, bring the arms to the floor. And you might change the rhythm of your breath here. You might inhale, lifting the arms overhead and lowering the hips, and then exhale, arms down, lifting the hips. So finding whatever rhythm matches what feels good in your body right now. And you can move as quickly or slowly, maybe even taking a break if you need one. We'll do just a couple more. And these bridge poses, this bridge flow is great for strengthening the glutes and the lower back, but it also helps to open the front of the body, opening the hip flexors and into the low belly. So I think we'll do just one more. And then lowering the hips down, you might set your block off to the side, and again, maybe rocking side to side or adding in some circles. And if you're circling, going in both directions. So now keeping your knees at about a 90-degree angle. If you'd like, once again, you can add that block and, picking whichever side feels good, whatever distance. And bring your arms out next to the body. So they could be in a T shape, or you can be cactus arms. We're going to hug that block. So if you are using the block, really thinking about creating that resistance by squeezing the block right here. So just by squeezing the block, you're probably feeling your abdominals turning on, the muscles are turning on. And again, those inner thighs are getting work here as well. And what we're going to do, we'll flex the feet. We'll bring the legs over to one side, but only as far as possible by leaving that other shoulder. So coming to the right side, the left shoulder on the ground, and then to come back up, we're going to push that bottom leg into the block, come into center. So we'll try that on the other side. Exhaling, going to the other side, feet are flexed. And when we come to that stopping point, you can come out of this at any time that you need to. That's really using the oblique muscles to stay there. And then we'll come back to center. So now turning this into a flow with your breath, exhaling to one side, inhaling back to center. And you can move, again, at your own perfect rhythm. So you might choose to stay at that bottom position, really challenging your oblique muscle, or you might move more rhythmically with the breath. There's no right or wrong. And again, if you choose to take that block away, you can do so. Then I just recommend keeping the knees still about hip bone distance apart. And remember, we're not trying to get all the way down. It's not a contest to get your knees all the way down to the earth. It's just how far can you twist with both shoulders down. Because if you lift that opposite shoulder, it changes the dynamic of this. So we'll do just one more time to each direction or until you feel balanced. Coming back to center, we'll take that block away once again, setting our feet down to the earth, and just pausing to notice. So you've already done quite a bit of work and we're still on our backs. So if you need to release the lower back a little bit, you can bring those knees back into the chest, maybe rocking the feet a little bit closer to the floor and back. So getting the sacrum on the ground and then maybe lifting it a little bit away from the ground. Then we'll place our feet back on the mat. And we're going to come into more of a traditional abdominal crunch. We'll bring our fingertips behind the ears and keeping those knees still about hip distance apart. We're going to inhale, belly button's drawing down towards the earth. So we want to make sure our low back is pressing into the earth. As we exhale, we're going to lift up, but we're looking up towards the ceiling. So rather than crunching the chin in towards the chest, we want to look up towards the sky. And then inhale down. So a couple of notes here. If it feels uncomfortable bringing your hands behind your head or you feel like you're tugging on your head and neck, then you can bring hands to your shoulders. Maybe playing around with that, seeing what feels best for you. Remembering the key is even if we have our fingertips behind the ears, they're just kind of giving a little bit of support. We're not tugging on the neck, we're not pulling. And another tip that you can use if you have any discomfort in the neck, placing the tip of the tongue on the top of the mouth, on the roof of the mouth, can help release that neck muscle as well. We're pairing our breath with our movement here. Once again, we lift as we exhale, we inhale to lower. You can keep your feet on the ground, or if you'd like, maybe lifting the feet up towards the sky. And one other option here, if you'd like, and again, this is just an option, honoring what your body needs today, you might choose to scissor the legs. And you can kind of play with that rhythm there. So maybe lifting when both feet are up, and then exhaling, lowering one leg. And you also have the option of keeping the head on the floor and just working with the legs, and maybe scissoring the legs. So as we lower the legs, that's really getting into the lower abdominals. And only bringing the leg down as far as feels good. So you might bring your leg part of the way, maybe a little bit further, and you can keep the knees bent as much as you'd like. So it's always about tuning into your body and what you need in this moment. What does your body need right now? Not what do you normally do, not what do you think you should do. So if you're scissoring the legs, we'll even out so we feel balance between both sides. Again, you can bring those knees into your chest whenever you'd like. So remember, as we go through this practice or any other, always resting or taking a breath, maybe coming into child's pose whenever you need to. Or in the case of being on our backs, maybe bring knees to chest. So place our feet on the ground. We're going to roll over to one side. And we're getting ready to come to hands and knees. So if you need to grab a blanket or anything to cushion your knees, please do so. So we're getting ready to come into that tabletop with knees directly under the hips, hands directly under the shoulders. So for tabletop, we want to pay attention to our abdominals here as well. So since this is our core practice, but really in any practice, we want to pay attention to this. And when we come into cow pose, we let that belly drop. So belly is not drawing in at this point. Shoulders are drawing back. So we're getting a little bit of an arch, and you can see my spine is arching there. And then we're going to exhale, rounding the spine, and now drawing the navel in. And you can bring your attention, bring your gaze in towards that belly button. Shoulders are now pressing away from the spine. We're pressing into the earth. We'll inhale for cow, exhaling, rounding into cat pose. So as we move here, we're really articulating the spine, one vertebra at a time. Just a couple more like this. And this combination is really a great place to come to anytime that you need to give your spine a little bit of a massage. And this is a great combination to do in the morning when you first wake up. It really wakes up the spine, wakes up your body, gets your energy flowing. Then coming back into our neutral tabletop. So this is kind of what I was talking about before. So when we were in cow pose, the belly was dropping. When we were in cat, the spine was rounding and the navel was drawing in. When it comes to neutral, we kind of want to be in that in-between place. So the core is still engaged, but we're not overly rounding the spine, and we're not letting the belly drop. From here, we're going to come into child's pose. And you have the option. Sometimes child's pose isn't comfortable. So if it's not comfortable for you, you could stay more upright, like we are on a table. Or you can bring the big toes together, knees wide, letting the hips come back towards the heels. Remember, you can place padding between the thighs or under the knees, if it doesn't feel too comfortable to come into this more extended version. And then bringing the forehead either down to the floor, or you can take that block underneath the forehead. And this is a great place to come anytime you need to check in with the body. You can have your forehead on the block or maybe on the backs of the hands. You can rock side to side, massaging the middle of the brow into the third eye. Remember, anytime we need to, we can come to our child's pose. And if you'd like to stay here and hang out, you can. Or walking those hands forward, we can get ready to come into down facing dog. So if your knees are wide, bring them back into hip width distance, crawling those fingertips forward. We'll tuck the toes under, lifting the hips into downward facing dog. So if you'd like, you can pedal out the feet, lifting one heel, really bending that knee, and letting that opposite heel come towards the floor. And then we'll switch sides. You might notice some tightness in your calf muscles. This is a great way to stretch them out and to wake up the feet a little bit. Create some flexibility into the feet, into the toes. Wake up the hamstrings. So you can say good morning to your hamstrings. And then we'll let both heels come towards the mat. Remember, the knees can stay bent as much as you need to keep the spine long. Because the goal here is a nice long spine, not necessarily having the feet touch the ground. Letting your gaze come back towards the toes. Navel's drawing in and up. And then as we exhale, we're going to bend the right knee, bringing it all the way down to the floor, and we'll extend that left leg. Hands are directly underneath shoulders once again, so just like our tabletop. And remembering, if you need to, you can come to fist for wrist. Now from here, you can keep both hands on the floor, or you can extend the right arm, coming into spinal balance. This is already a lot of work. Again, we have that connection with our core. And if you want to layer on, drawing that elbow in towards the knee, and then inhaling to extend. Exhaling, elbow to knee. So we'll do this maybe about 8 times. That's 3. Exhaling as you draw in, inhaling to extend. And if at any point that feels uncomfortable, you can always come out to the side. So depending on how it feels in your body, you might want to do that, or the knee and the arm come out to the side. The foot remains flexed. We'll do just one more. And then extending long, reaching the heel towards the back wall, fingertips towards the front wall. And then hand comes down, knee comes down, maybe a round of cat and cow. You can either return to your child's pose or lifting back up into downward facing dog. You'll use choice here. So again, drawing that navel in and up, keeping integrity in the core. We're going to do that on the other side. So as we exhale, we'll bend the left knee comes down to the floor, right leg extends out. So again, the toes are pointing down towards the floor, and either extending that left arm, keeping the hand pressing into the earth. We have that same option to flow here. Exhaling in, inhaling to extend. And if the elbow and knee don't touch, that's okay. So just bringing them towards each other. Remember, you have that option to bring the leg and the arm out to the side if that fits your body better. And if at any point you want to move just the arm or just the leg, then you can do that too. Like this one, the last one. Reaching long, feeling that strength in the glute, in the core, lower back. And hand and knee come to the floor. And this time we'll come back into our child's pose. Bringing hands back towards the heels. Observing how the body feels in this child's pose. So it might feel a little different after doing that work that we just did. Maybe letting out a big audible sigh. Seeing how that changes how the body feels. Maybe you notice a sense of release when you let out that sigh. So we'll do it one more time. Inhaling, and then exhaling. Extending those arms forward. This time we're going to walk the hands. So we'll walk both hands over to the right side. Feeling length from those left fingertips into the left shoulder. The left side of the torso, and then we're going to walk the hands through center and to the other side. Now creating length through that right side, coming back to center, and then coming to kneel. So keeping your block nearby, place the block over to the left side, and we'll extend the right leg out, coming into gate pose. So the right leg is long, and we'll inhale the left arm up and over, creating a little bit of a side crunch here, and lengthening the whole left side. and then exhaling down. So inhaling, we'll lift, exhaling to come over, inhale up, and exhale down. So we'll do that just one more time on this side. And noticing the sensations in the side body as we're moving here. Now we're going to come into a side plank. So we can bring the left hand to the block, or if you prefer, you can always come down onto the forearm. And so this might be your side plank here. This is a modified side plank with that left knee down, right arm can be lifted, or we can keep it at the hip. And then only if your body is asking for more, if your body wants more and needs more, we can extend that bottom leg. That's entirely optional for today. Remember, we can lower that top arm if we need to, if our shoulder is saying, hey, let me back down. And then to come out of that, we'll bend that left knee, and we're going to come back up into our gate pose. So thinking about this whole right side of the body and using the strength of the right side to come back up. Exhaling, we'll come to kneel. We'll give our wrists a little bit of less, so maybe circling the wrists. We might make some infinity symbols, some magic eights, or shake them out. So depending upon how your wrists are feeling, you might need a little bit more. And always, again, paying attention to those things. Now we're going to shift to the other side. So you might choose to have your block, or remember you can come down to the forearm for that side plank. And we'll extend the left arm, the left leg out. We're going to inhale the right arm up, exhale over, hit that little side crunch. Inhaling back up, and then exhaling to lower the arm. So again, moving through this gate pose with your breath. We're not rushing here, we're just warming up these side abdominals, these obliques. And you might even notice into this extended leg, some sensations. And then as we get ready to go into our side plank, again, you can take the right hand. Now, if we're doing it with our hand on our block, the hand is directly underneath the shoulder, and that's going to protect the wrist and the shoulder. Now, I'll show you really quickly what it would look like to come down into our other option. So you can come onto the forearm, and now our leg is bent more, and the hip and the knee are on the floor, and you can come up into your side plank. So that's another option. Or we can come back into that version with a hand underneath the shoulder. So again, this is a lot of work right here. We're going to press that left foot into the floor, especially the outer edge of the floor, or the outer edge of the foot. And only if you want more on this side, you can extend that bottom leg. Now you can have the feet stacked, or you can have them wider apart. Kind of experiment there and see what feels better on this side. And letting go of any need to make this pose look the same on both sides of the body. You can look up to the top hand or down to the floor. See what feels better to the neck. One last breath here. If you're lifted, we'll bend that knee. So we're going to use that left arm, left leg, and the whole left side of the torso to help us lift back up. And then maybe just create some movement for the arms, the wrists. You can even take the fingertips pressing into the hand with the fingertips pointing down. Feels really good into the forearm. Shake that out. I'm going to set my block back to the top of the mat. We'll take an opportunity to come into child's pose right here, just for a moment or two. You can stay here and hang out, or lift into another downward facing dog. Setting that gaze back towards the feet. Again, engaging your core, lifting through the pelvic floor, creating what we call root lock or mula bandha. And then walking hands back to meet the feet. Please. Forward fold at the back of the mat, shaking out your head and neck. Softening your knees. Letting the belly rest on the legs, and then we'll inhale, circle sweeping the arms up. Hands come to the heart, and we'll take a walk to the top of our mats. So we're at the top of our mats in mountain pose, rolling those shoulders back and down. We'll inhale, arms come up, hands come to the heart. We'll take a step back with the right foot. So we're going to come into warrior two. So you might need to take a wider step. Left knee is over the ankle, and we'll extend those arms up to about shoulder height. Feet down, making sure the big toe is inside of the knee. And then inhaling, straightening that front leg. We're going to come into triangle pose. So we'll extend, letting that left hand come to the shin or to the thigh. Or maybe you have a block nearby, we'll let it come to the block. But in this triangle pose, we're really thinking about the core keeping us in position. So even if we have our hand on the block or the leg, think about lengthening out, and the whole back of our body is perfectly in line. So it's just like as if you were a piece of toast in a toaster. As you come into this triangle pose, thinking about the core. So we just did side plank. So a similar sensation into the core. We're using those abdominal muscles, those oblique muscles to keep us in this position. If you want to test that you're doing it, you want to take the left arm away. But if you feel unstable, maybe skipping that. And just like in our plank, we can either look down, we can look up. And if we're caring for our shoulder today, maybe bringing the hand to the low back. Come out of this, we're going to bend that front knee and come back into warrior two pose. Setting our gaze out over the front fingers, we'll flip the palm towards the sky, inhaling, taking a reverse warrior. Sitting down into that front thigh. Back hand will go to the rear thigh, or maybe around the lower back. Turning your gaze either up towards the hand or down towards the back leg. And then we'll exhale, coming back into that warrior two pose. We're going to add in just a little bit of movement here. We'll inhale, straightening that front leg, bringing the palms together, and exhale to sit back into those strong legs. Inhaling to rise, exhaling to deepen, and really feel that strength in that front thigh. We're creating strength in that front thigh as we spiral it towards the pinky toe edge of the foot. We're creating strength into this rear leg. So a lot's going on here. We'll do one more. And then exhaling. Back into that warrior two. Cartwheeling the arms. We'll come into runner's lunge. Stepping the front foot back. And then coming into downward facing dog. So just like we did on the other side, we're going to lock our hands back to meet the feet, softening the knees, deep bend in those knees. As we inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhaling, hands come to the heart. And we're taking a walk back to the top of our mat. You can stay where you are. I'm going to just switch sides. So making sure you have your block nearby if you used it on the other side. Step the left of back. A big step for warrior two. Reaching those arms, so the front hand going into the future, back hand is in the past, but we're firmly rooted here, right now in the present. And you might check that front thigh, creating that strength. Notice that leg is maybe falling in, giving it a little bit of help. Rooting the knife edge or the outside edge of the back foot into the floor. Get ready to come into that triangle pose again. So inhaling as we extend, bring your hand wherever it feels most comfortable. So a lot of times when we see triangle pose, we'll see people coming to the floor, and if that fits your body, that's fantastic. But if to keep that straightness or that length in your back, you're right here, this is perfect too. So there's no bonus points for reaching the floor. If you come out of alignment and you come maybe this way just to get to the floor, you would be much safer and get a lot more out of the pose to be up here. So find your perfect place. Letting go of competition or judgments. Knowing that there's no right or wrong. It's just how it feels in your body. So it's not what it looks like to anybody else, it's what it feels like. We're going to come out of our triangle pose. We're going to bend that front knee, coming back in a warrior. Reaching those arms, maybe giving the fingers a little wiggle. Turn that front palm up and then lifting into that reverse warrior. Again, noticing that you're still sitting down with that front leg. Sometimes when we do reverse warrior, we come up a little bit. Can you challenge yourself to sit into that strong front thigh? Relaxing the shoulder, the jaw. And we'll cartwheel those arms. Pivoting on that rear foot, coming into a runner's lunge. And then big step. This time we're going to step the back foot up to meet the front foot. Finding that forward fold. Maybe shaking the head and neck. Nodding heads no, saying no to any limiting beliefs that might be holding us back. And then nodding our heads yes. Yes, I am enough, just as I am right now. Softening those knees as we inhale, pressing the feet down as we rise tall. Exhaling, hands come to heart center. So we're getting ready for a little bit of balance. So we're going to have some moving balance in today's practice. We're going to move through chair pose. So placing the feet, again, in alignment with the hips. So seeing what feels good for you. And then making sure that both feet, all 10 toes, are facing the top of the mat. So if you notice that one foot is kind of normally out to one side, just scoot down and placing them so that all 10 toes are facing the top. We're just going to start with our moving chair. You can get creative with your arms as we flow here. We'll inhale to lift, and exhale to sit into our chair. Remembering that we're sitting the weight of our body towards our heels, so sitting into that imaginary chair. And just like with triangle pose, there's no bonus points for going to a certain level. You're not trying to get all the way down. So if you're looking at the floor, if you're here and you're like, okay, wow, I'm lower to the floor, what does it feel like to maybe lift the chest and come up a little bit higher? You want to stay lifted in that chest, long in the spine. I'll just turn back to face you. And if it feels better, you can keep the hands at the heart or at the thighs and just focus more on the movement in the legs. Paying attention to your breath. If it's getting a little labored, you can slow down a little bit or maybe find a gentler version of your chair. And chair pose is great for creating strength in our hips and our glutes and our abdominals because we're keeping that core engaged. And you can stay here with your flowing chair, or if you'd like, we can turn this a little more challenging into a balance. So maybe shifting the weight into that right leg. And we can start first by lifting the heel on the left and maybe lifting the toes. So you're creating a lot of strength now in that standing leg. And then if you want a little more of a challenge, maybe rising and slowly setting that foot down. Shake the arms and the legs out. So maybe especially that leg that was standing and supporting us, you might really want to shake that out. Now we'll go to the other side. So if you'd like to flow through chair a few more times, you can do so. Or whenever you're ready, shifting into that balance. So maybe coming onto the toes on the right foot. Have more of that weight in the left foot. And then maybe lifting toes as well. So your hands could be at prayer, or if you want to put them out, or on maybe a chair or shelf, something that's sturdy to hold you. And then only if you want that little added challenge, coming up, maybe even lifting that knee a little higher, creating that strength, and then setting it back down. So any movement that might feel nice here, some circles, the hips, or you could do a little 4 to 5-year-old, letting the hands tap your back pockets. All right, so we're getting ready to come back to the floor. Well, okay, I'm just checking where my block is. You might want to have your block nearby when we come onto the floor. So coming back to mountain pose, we'll roll the shoulders back and down, creating space and expansion across the chest. And again, this is a great pose to do after being maybe in front of a computer all day. So even though our emphasis tonight is on the core, we want to think about still opening the chest, because again, everything from shoulders to knees. So we'll open, maybe even taking hands behind the lower back, interlacing them if you have that in your practice. If not, you can have your arms behind you, hugging maybe an imaginary beach ball behind you. And you can release the hands if you'd like, or as you exhale, coming into a forward fold, letting those hands come up and over. Getting a nice expansion for the front of the chest and the shoulders. Letting the head hang heavy. And then we'll exhale, releasing those hands, bringing them to the floor. We'll step the left foot back into a lunge, and then the right foot back into downward facing dog. So creating that mula bandha, that root lock as we move the pelvic floor in and up, from navel in towards the low back. And then as we inhale, shifting forward to a plank on toes or on knees. We'll exhale back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Inhaling forward to your plank of choice. And we'll do that just one more time. Back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Inhaling forward, shoulders over wrists. Your knees can be down. And then we'll all bring our knees down. Make our way on to our bottoms. And before we come onto our backs, we'll do a little bit of winter wipers. So bringing hands behind your body, feet are maybe back a distance or maybe a little wider, and we'll exhale, bringing both knees to the left side. We'll inhale, knees up, and then exhale, both knees to the right side. We'll do that a few times. And you can play around with the distance between your feet and also how long you hold this pose on each side. So if you hold it a little longer, you might notice it more into the hip or the hip flexor, in the front of the hips, the low belly. Flex the feet, so engaging, creating just some energy into the feet. You might want to move a little faster than I am. I tend to enjoy this one a little more slowly so I can really feel the opening into my hips. This next time, we're going to come, so both knees are coming to the left side, but now we're going to take that right arm and we're going to place the hands somewhat near each other and have a little bit of a twist here. Turning to look over that back shoulder. And then we'll come to the other side. Both knees go to the right, left hand comes to the back. We'll do that one more time to each side, maybe 2 times to each side, depending on how quickly you're moving. So now you're getting the opening for the hips, but now we're giving our spine a little extra love, a little bit of mobility. You might even really feel that into the abdominals as well, into the low belly. And then getting ready to come onto our backs. And I'm just going to grab my block. Again, your option. You can roll to one side or you can curl down in that C curve and maybe challenge your abdominal strength a little bit. So maybe when we first started, if you weren't warmed up, maybe that was too much, but maybe now you might want to test yourself a bit. You could even come up. So we'll take the option of maybe doing 3 little crunches here and only going as low as you can feel and maintain control. So this next time we're going to come all the way onto our backs. Putting those knees into the chest. Having a little side rocking or back and forth. We'll bring our feet down to the floor. So when we started the practice, we were doing a more active bridge pose. And in fact, we used the block between our legs for that extra option for inner thighs. And now this time we're going to use the block, but we're going to come into a restorative bridge. So lifting the hips up, placing the block just underneath the sacrum. So that's the bone at the base of your spine. And if you don't have a block, or if it feels uncomfortable with the block, I know not everyone loves how the block might feel under their sacrum. So if you'd rather take a pillow, or you can even put a towel or a t-shirt over your block, so making it a little bit smoother. And if you don't have any of those, you could just be in a standard bridge, or you can just have your low back on the floor with you. So if you'd like, you can stay here, or lifting one and then the other leg to the sky. You can keep your knees bent here as well. So if it's too much having the legs extended, then bending the knees a little or a lot. So your choice here, either restorative bridge pose, or this is a variation of legs at the wall. And this is a great way to reverse gravity, to reverse the flow of blood and of lymph. Especially if you've been going all day, this is a nice way to give yourself a chance to rejuvenate. You can stay still, or you might come back to those scissors, or you can circle the ankles. That can feel really good. So just playing around with your options here, seeing what feels best to you. You might change it up a little bit. Remember, you don't have to necessarily follow along and do exactly what I'm doing. You can see what feels good to you. Another option that I'll share with you is to come back into that restorative bridge pose and then just extend a leg and maybe the arm on the same side of the body. That's a nice stretch, a nice opening for the hip flexor. So yogi's choice here. No right or wrong. We'll stay here for a little bit so you can maybe experiment with these different options. Just 1 or 2 more breaths. Your legs are lifted. You can bring your feet back down to the floor, lift up, taking that block away. And we're going to pause here for a moment just so you can allow your spine to settle back into the earth. And really tune into what that feels like. How does that feel in your body as your spine comes back into more of a neutral alignment? From here, we're going to either come to knees to chest, or we can come into happy baby pose. And You have the option of doing both legs together, or you can take the left leg, maybe holding on behind the thigh. You can reach the calf, or if you can reach it, you can reach through the big toe or the outer edge of the foot. So this is, I'm in half happy baby pose. You can be in full happy baby, or you could be in knees to chest. And inviting that knee, if you're in happy baby, or both knees, down towards the floor, down towards the outer edge or the armpit. This is a nice release for the lower back. I love this for my hips. You can stay still, or you can add some movement. And it's opposite leg. If you're in half happy baby with me, you can keep that leg bent. You might want to extend it, but that's really optional. I like how it feels having the knee bent. I like to add in that little bit of movement. So if you're in half happy baby, and we'll switch sides, we'll very carefully release that left leg, bring it down on the floor. Again, pause and notice. Both sides probably feel a little differently, so just notice how one side feels compared to the other, and then we can come to that other side. And this side might feel a little different. It might look a little different. You might choose to hold on in a different part of the leg, or again, you might be in any other pose that feels good right now. So if you're following along with me and you've been doing half happy baby, we want to create some symmetry after doing each side separately. So now we can come into full happy baby, or you can bring knees to chest. Sometimes just knees to chest can be the most amazing feeling pose to be in. So as we come to the close of our practice, you can either stay right here, or you can come to any other pose that your body might need right now. If your body's asking for something, maybe something feels tight and you need to move in a certain way, honoring wherever your body is saying to you in this moment. And then either coming back to the way we started the practice on our back with the knees bent, we could roll to one side or your belly, maybe even extending the legs into a traditional Shavasana. As we once again turn our gaze inward. Coming back to that breath and letting go of any sense of effort. Letting go of any sense of needing to do anything. Feeling the shoulders relax completely. Relaxing the throat and the jaw. Softening that place between the eyebrows. Using each breath to sink a little deeper into the yoga mat. Let life reveal itself to you. You don't have to strain so, trying to get your revelations. The guidance, the inspiration, the awareness you need will come to you. The way we're living now, from the heart, is much easier than the way we lived before. Sometimes it is so natural, we might not understand what is happening. We may even be uncomfortable at first with how easy it is. We find ourselves straining to lift a heavy bowling ball when what we have to pick up is only a ping pong ball. Then we wonder why it feels so light. We may question whether there's something wrong because it feels so different. Just because your life feels lighter doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Your next step, the answer to the question you've been waiting for, the direction for the next stage of your growth, where you will live next, what you need to do next about work, money, or that problem you've been struggling with will come. If you're fussing and straining, you may not hear it. Don't worry about getting all your answers or your agenda for the year ahead. That is not how this process works. In order to participate in the more magical way of life, trust that all you need to know will be revealed to you when it is time. Relax. You're on a journey of discovery. Let life reveal itself to you. Bring some movement back into the body, circling the ankles and the wrists. Slowly turning to one side with the knees bent. And using the hands to help lift to a comfortable seated position. We'll inhale the arms up, bringing the thumbs to the forehead for good thoughts, to the lips for good words, and to the heart for good intentions. The divine light within me honors the divine light within you. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today.